When it comes to your sexual health, take it from someone who's been there before. Take it from me. Today, Josh talks to Rick about finding yourself after a strict upbringing.
I grew up in Louisiana, a small town called Marksville. My father was shot and killed while my mother was pregnant in New Orleans, so I never got to know my father. So my mother and my grandmother raised me, and my grandmother married in her lifetime 2 pastors. They divorced. So my family was really religious. My mom was a PK, preacher's kid, and the religion was full Baptist, full gospel Baptist, Pentecostals, like all mixed together. So I came out as queer in middle school to my mom, and my mom was kind of like, "What? No. The sky is blue." I was like, "But I'm gay. The sky's blue." And started the years of me just being silent. There were people around me, in my family, out of my family. It's a small town in the South, who just kind of spoke around me, spoke over me. The passive microaggressions, they don't hit you till you get away and you're by yourself. I think one of my biggest regrets is I wish I had spoke up, because I was letting everyone speak about people like me. Now going to therapy and addressing my PTSD, my anxiety, my ADHD, when we go through the reasons, they're like, well, where are all these voices coming from? And then we stem them back. So those instances to now, discovering that I was non-binary. So I'm Black, queer, non-binary. It's a lot. It's like a amazing thing to be, but there wasn't anyone like me growing up.
No.
To like look to.
And you're so far removed from what everybody else around you is doing and believing and carrying on their life with. But they want you to include that, and you can't. That's not you. It's not authentic.
And I felt like every time I would try to have conversations on things I would think about or had opinions about growing up, people would be like, "Oh, you're crazy, what are you talking about? That's not you."
My story is really strange. My dad was a Pentecostal Church of God minister, mom a preacher's wife. There were 5 kids in the family. There were 3 girls, and then me, and then my little brother. And I always said, well, it was a crossover gene. Now, there were 3 girls, and then they got a boy finally, but yeah, he still had a little girl in him. Then they got a straight boy finally when they had my brother. So, they got the whole thing. But anyway, it was really, really difficult, because I knew about 12 years old that I like guys. I mean, it wasn't anything that I made a decision about. It was just when I looked at one that I thought was attractive, I felt it. Yeah. I didn't think about it. You feel it. It's a feeling. Just like if a girl looks at a guy, she has a feeling if he attracts her. Well, my dad decided right after I was born that he was going to go into ministry. So he didn't have a church and everything, so he was going to evangelize. So he traveled all the time. My mom raised us. When I was a junior in high school, I went to Texas to stay with my sister for the summer. I went out, I met a guy. We hooked up, and so I went back home, and he wrote me a letter. He talked about everything we did, and my mom opened it and read it. So when I got home from school, none of the others were there, and my mom and my dad were there, and they had a chair set up in the living room, and I thought, okay, something's wrong. And of course, then they proceeded to tell me that they knew, and they tried all night long. I was all night trying to cast out the demon in me. Now, when you are told that you can't be valid because there's some entity inside of you controlling everything you do, some evil, terrible entity, and you're like 16, 17 years old, you're terrified. You are terrified. And of course, life from that point forward changed dramatically for me. When I left home, I had decided, I can't do this. I can't be this thing. I can't let this demon control who I am. I've got to pray through. And so I went to Bible college, and I was going to be a minister like my dad. Now, can you imagine? That would have been the worst mistake of my life. I mean, it would have been, Jay.
I almost went to the Hillsong College for worship and ministry right after high school.
You want their approval.
Yeah.
You want it so bad. I mean, that's the people that are responsible for you until you're almost an adult or an adult and you leave.
it was between my grandmother and my mom.
Yeah.
And they raised me. My grandmother lost 2 of her kids. I didn't get to meet my aunt, but I met my uncle, and he was one of the only queer people that was out in my family, but out in quotations, which was like, he come in and he come out, like, because people's disapproval of LGBTQIA plus in my family, it's so passive because they want to have it under the guise of no judgment.
Right.
I know you can relate to this, where it's like, okay, well, you know what the Bible says, I love you.
Right.
I love you, and you're like, what does that do for me? Because when I go to sleep at night, I'm always flipping through that.
You see it as conditional love. Their love becomes conditional. And that's exactly what happened to my parents at that point. It was conditional. If I changed and towed the line and took a different track, the love was unconditional. But if I didn't, then they couldn't love me unconditionally because there was something wrong with me. And my thing was, after they found out I was gay, it certainly changed, and my dad was extremely hard on me. Theirs was not passive. Theirs was very aggressive, that I was not going to be this person, that I was not going to hell. And so I did that. I went to Bible college. I was studying Bible college, comparative religions, and there was a girl there, and I got along with her. She was friendly, and I thought, well, she's really nice. I like her. I wouldn't even think about sex, but I went ahead and, we ran around together with a bunch of kids and we got close. And so I asked her to marry me. And I took her home, they were all, so excited. My mom says, he'll keep you barefoot and pregnant and all this. And I'm thinking, oh God, no.
Loving the person that they want you to be.
Absolutely.
Loving the person that you want in front of you.
I was putting up a facade, a wall that I was hiding behind. And there was a completely different person that was projected. And what it makes you do is learn to be a good liar, basically. The alternative is unacceptable to you because you feel like, in your head, you're thinking, no, I can't be gay, I can't be gay, I can't be gay. That's all you can think about. And what broke that facade for me was the girl that I was engaged to, Becky. She wanted to get more intimate with me. And I knew I couldn't. And I said to myself, I said, you know what, you got a choice. You can be true to yourself and just deal with it, or else you can live a lie and you'll be accepted by this community that you really don't even want to be in.
And I feel like I delved very deeply into, when I moved out to California, into hookup culture because of, I know I had these sexual urges and I couldn't get them out when I was in Louisiana.
Sure.
So I'd jump on Grindr for a while. And the funny thing is, I would never get to fourth base. It would always be something like some foreplay, some oral type of thing. I'd be like, okay, you can leave now. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, okay, move. I don't want to, thank you so much. So I did that for a while. I left home, delve into that, or had a busy phase. And then I could never get into a relationship because I've had 1 or 2, 3 men in my life that have come in and have pressed into me. Like that, exactly, you've married, that pressed into you and was saw you and everything. And I was like, what is that? Because it's
called a soulmate. Somebody that you connect with and
not me running from it because I don't know what it looks like.
No, exactly. You don't know. You're going to run from anything that makes you the least bit uncomfortable because that's what you did. You had to.
And that's what we were taught.
If parents who have children that are different would just remember that all they need is a loving, safe environment. That's all they want. That's all they need. That's what every child should expect.
It's interesting because I'm in therapy. I'm seeking healing to be in love with myself so I can
love somebody else.
And let somebody else love me.
And let somebody else love you. You can't love, and RuPaul, and probably, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself.
And
you just can't do it. But the positive thing for me was that once I broke out of that facade, then my life became so much better. I mean, I met a wonderful man. We've been together 36 years.
Come on, 36 years?
36. Our anniversary was yesterday. So it can be done. I mean, it can be done. You can overcome every bit of this stuff.
I gotta breathe and take that in. I'm like,
I mean, it's true, but because it can be. It can be because you are the captain of your own shit.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you're the master of your soul.
For more trusted sources on the topics that matter to you, go to getmegiddy.com.